Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another Chris Chan article, where today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be discussing the very, very funny article indeed about Chris and money. I say funny because I half so expect parts of this are going to get quite tragic, but not kind of like the funny kind of tragic, more of the tragic. Anyway, Chris and money. I'll call a tow truck, but now I have less than $20 between the bank accounts and PayPal. Chris after his car broke down on the way home from BronyCon. He's not good at math when it comes to managing money, Bob Chandler understanding it. Yeah, and he sort of stayed that way. And here we have... It's just... Not bad at all. Chris has repeatedly shown through his actions and words that he has no clue or idea how to handle money or manage his own finances. Between his impulsive spending, his greed and selfishness, his unwillingness to save even the smallest amount of money, and his massive sense of entitlement, Chris manages to demonstrate complete incompetence and ineptitude in managing financial affairs. Chris has repeatedly amassed debt on credit cards, only to have his enabling parents bail him out multiple times. Too lazy to work, isn't that just? He refuses to make or follow any type of budget or financial plan, instead spending far beyond his means and expecting others to pay off his accumulated debt for him, seeing his fans just about the closest thing to parents he might get. Because they think they're just going to bail him out because they feel sorry for him or something. That's how I imagine almost all of his Patreons really go. They just feel sorry for him. It is clear that Chris has no idea what financial responsibility is, and what his enabling delusional parents taught him nothing about how to handle finances when he was growing up. Irresponsible, careless, and thoughtless, Chris fails at just about every aspect of financial management that he can be possibly thought of. And as you've worked out, by the way, there is a lot. So let's get the first one out of the way. But wait, Chris isn't employed. You're right there, but we'll discuss that more in a later video. For the vast majority of Chris's adult life, his only source of income has been what he calls his tugboat, that he receives from the US federal government every month. In 2009, the payout was $809 a month, placing his annual income at $9,708. After Bob's death, Chris was given a survivor's benefit. I think you would have to have some kind of benefit whatsoever to live in a house like they do, increasing the amount to $1,300 per month, and making his annual income $15,600. Bob's income from Social Security and a pension is around $1,200 per month. Chris's parents originally took $450 to pay for room and board. This payment was later increased to $565 and then to $580 after Bob paid off Chris's enormous credit card debt, which Chris wouldn't need to have put on in the first place if he knew how to handle his money in any way, shape or form. The rest of the tugboat generally goes towards video games, junk food, or other frivolous purchases. However, $229 per month, about $7.50 a day, was and is nowhere near enough to satisfy Chris's need for electronic entertainment, pornography, PlayStation Network downloads, a constant supply of chicken nuggets, gallons of Coke, and since the summer of 2009, alcohol. As of January 2010, he owed roughly $3,500 in credit card debt. You know what? I'm just going to take a quick pause here because I want to specify almost from this word that I have never been in debt in my life. I've never been in debt to any corporation whatsoever, because I think it's something that not only have you got to pay that, but you've also got to pay fines, certainly in the UK, if you begin to go into debt. So I'm going to assume maybe Chris was like $3,000 in debt, and then it was piled up to $3,500. Some on cards of his own, and some on cards he stole from his parents. Please keep that wording in mind. Chris steals from his own parents. Indeed, according to one of his bank statements, At the end of 1 month, he had fewer than $3 left in his account. Even more, just by straight up spending and no extra income. He put himself $452.57 in the red. How much he gets to keep these days isn't known. Probably is a better idea if we don't know, because, you know, Weens will find a way. Conmen will always try and deplete any savings whatsoever. My father helped me get my social security set up. I get more a month than I could at a job. Yet, with my impulsive shoppingness mostly controllable, I end up spending my side money after I get it. Chris, completely deluded and taking pride in being a lazy bastard. Why do I get the impression that I was the one who wrote this down? Because this is how I imagine I would have straight up told Chris this. Because let's go over this in fine detail. First of all, PlayStation Network downloads. Even at the best of times, I very rarely play any video games anymore. You want to know the last time I actually played a video game, ladies and gentlemen? Interesting enough, it was the 15th of December. So that's been nearly 6 weeks since I've last played a video game. Because you know what? Once like a week or so goes by, you begin to realize that you don't miss it. So you just let it go. That's sort of how it always has and probably will continue to be for me. I just let things go, and I feel better in the long run for it. Meanwhile, Chicken McNuggets and gallons of Coke, both of those are going to be disastrous for his health anyway. So is his pornography, which is going to be more dangerous, I'd say, mentally inside, because it's going to give him very weird ideas nonetheless. So, and because, you know, since I've already emphasized I've been on a diet since the very beginning of the year, and we're now a whole month into 2021, there is no reason why I could have even thought to spend that much on, even if when I wasn't dieting, to spend it on stuff like that. And again, since the summer of 2009, alcohol, but also 29 days into the year, and I haven't even so much as touched a drop of the hard stuff. I have maintained being sober, and again, it's sort of a little bit difficult to comprehend exactly how much I miss alcohol, but at the same time, there's a reason why I'm doing it anyway, and I think it's for the best. This doesn't mean to say I can give it up. I've given up entirely. I can have it as much as I want if I chose to, but I choose not to. It's a matter of I often find that I don't need to go see, like, you know, courses or anything like that. I just learn mentally to cope and to come up with a stratagem to make me forget about things like this. It's about like self-mortification, self-will, a matter of mind over matter, thinking with my head and not with my stomach, and seeing with my eyes and not with my fingers. That's how I've seen it. It also helps me with the fact that I don't end up with less than $3 in my own account, and rather than going into debt. Also, let's go on to the quote itself. My father helped me get my social security set up. I get more a month than I could at a job. That is completely not true. $1,500 a year is absolutely nowhere even close to, you know, a minimum wage or even a living wage. You can't get a house like the one that Chris lives in for a budget like for a yearly budget like that. You know what? I wouldn't know exactly what's going on because my contract for me at work expires on the 20th. But if I was in work between the beginning of the year and to the very end of December, you want to know how much my income would have been for a whole year of work? £28,744, I believe. It's just short of £30,000. That's twice what Chris technically receives. And believe you me, ladies and gentlemen, if I had the time to disclose everything about my work that I do while I have my time at work, because bear in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I do a 66-hour week. That means I get 1 day off, and it's on a Sunday. Chris, by the ordinary standard, only gets paid half of what I get paid for doing absolutely nothing and contributing nothing to society whatsoever. You may say that's injustice or whatever it is, but I do know definitely there are ways in which I can earn more and work fewer hours. And there are obviously going to have to be steps that I'll have to address when the time comes. But for now, we'll just see what comes. I mean, I do know fine well with my standing at the place I work at, then it should be, I should be in good stead. Just move on to something a bit more higher up, something where I could work more and do fewer hours. Not that I don't want to do more hours. I mean, I like to keep myself busy, and that's just a pure spectacle of work ethic more than anything. Anyway, also, yet with my impulsive shoppiness, he says that he admits that it's just something he cannot control, even though we all know it's something he can. Mostly controllable. Well, Chris, if it was controllable, you would stop if you really could. I end up spending my side money after I get it. Well, why? Why don't you just put it aside for whatever? Chris and impulsive spending. It's obvious that Chris has no grasp on the real value of money. He actively wastes as much of his monthly tugboat as possible on things like trading cards, sex, toys, porn, video games, alcohol, makeup, toys, prostitutes, and weekly lottery tickets. Chris is a self-admitted impulsive buyer. His PlayStation Network account shows he's never played more than half of the games he's bought. That's not good, Chris. If I was to buy a video game, one might assume I would just play that before I move on to something else, and that's pretty much the case right there. If I buy something, I'm going to play it, and no questions asked. And yet, astoundingly, he's still gone out of his way to buy all available download content for every single PlayStation free game that he's ever purchased, and even for games he doesn't own. And he also further prompted his Sony fanboyism by later buying a Sony LCD HD TV for his room, which likely cost between $1,000 to $1,500. All the while, Chris bought his clothes at second-hand discount thrift stores. Usually children are taught the value of money at a very young age. Not in Chris's case, apparently. Well, considering Chris was homeschooled at a very young age, it's probably... I don't know how well this could have, that might be something that we need to, bring into question, Chris's opinions on him being homeschooled. In September 2013, Chris complained about he and his mother going through emotionally depressing and financial downfall to the depths of greater poor and just getting by. I'd say, yarbles to that, Chris. You wouldn't even know what it's like to be among the really poverty-stricken side of society, making it clear that the family income had dipped since Bob's passing. However, these supposedly lean times were apparently not enough to motivate Chris to do something very basic like getting a job, or even to stop buying video games, as evidenced by him racking up over 1,000 in-game purchases on The Simpsons Tapped Out. Throughout the summer of 2014, Chris continued to spend thousands of dollars on Lego and other frivolities. Why would he need Lego? Why? Why would you waste that on shit you're never going to use anyway? All the whining and complaining on Facebook about this and his mother's poor finances. Chris financed this spending primarily with money from selling custom arts and crafts on his eBay account, offering free shipping to customers. Chris would receive money from customers and then pay for shipping out of his own pocket. However, Chris would immediately spend money as soon as it was deposited into his account, often leaving him unable to ship products to customers who already paid him because of his own financial irresponsibility and negligence. I'd say almost on the very first instance of this, you should have stopped giving money to Chris altogether, because that's his response before anything else. He will spend it because he feels like it's something he's earned. Not out of a sense, something he can enjoy for his own leisure, but something that he should be responsible for. When several of Chris's eBay customers filed complaints against him because Chris failed to ship as an order as per promised and obligated, Chris responded by harassing and trolling the customers. Brilliant marketing strategy. I don't think you will ever see something like, Coke or links, doing stuff like that, because it's never once worked. It will never work, and that's why people don't do it. Posting their personal information in a public post on his Facebook account, well, that's doxing right there, and Chris could be in trouble with the law for something like that. In light of this, Chris's future money-making prospects from eBay are dim. A bit like Chris in a way, as most prospective future customers probably wouldn't want to risk being harassed or scammed by Chris, or to put up with Chris's bullshit or his ridiculously high prices. All the while, even as Chris's credit card debt continued to spiral out of control, Chris continued to buy thousands of dollars of video games, Lego, and other frivolities. As if this were not bad enough, just days after his and Bob's cars were up for sale at exorbitant prices, Chris went out and bought a 2010 Ford Focus, stating on Facebook that he had been approved for a loan, probably at a high interest rate. He also stated that paying for insurance for his new car was killing him. Killing him, despite the fact that you've got to pay insurance for a car anyway to, take it on the road. Something that everybody has got to do. Implying that either the insurance payment was costly, that he was having trouble paying it, or both. I'd say he's just making a mountain out of a molehill on this for something that he knows, or something he probably should have looked into if he gave any thought whatsoever. In January 2015, it was leaked that Chris had spent an absurd amount of money on Nintendo games and consoles, racking up 585 transactions in the last 4.5 years. Okay, so you know what? Let me get my calculator out. So, 300. Where's my? Hold on. 365 times 4. Add the 1. Then add 183. So in 1,644 days, 585, Chris made a purchase for Nintendo products basically once every 3 days. Chris bought something, whatever it was, once every 3 days. A list which includes useless shovelware, hordes of first-party Nintendo software, virtual console games, and both versions of games he doesn't even like. $276 of these purchases are known to be handheld games. 8 are known to be video game consoles. He bought 8 consoles, buying 4 DSs and DS. What do you need 4 What? I need a moment. And 75 are known to be console games. The grand total cost of Chris's listed purchases is $7,460.43. Keep in mind, 39% of purchases Chris has on his account are not yet specified, meaning that their cost is not included in this already insanely high number. This information comes on the heels of Chris begging people for money to fix his mother's cavities, as well as the financial worries that his trials will undoubtedly cause. In July 2016, a field agent provided the following account of Chris in a painfully awkward situation where he did not have enough cash to pay for his junk food at a gas station. My friend walks into a gas station / convenience store on the northern edge of Charlottesville. Chris is trying to buy $7 or so of junk food type stuff, but he only has $5 in cash. The cashier tries to make him understand he owes $2 more. Chris seems to understand, but is slow to process what to do about it. Fine $2, that's what you do. My friend, who is second in line, picks out 2 ones, says, "Here you go," and puts them on the counter. What a nice man. Chris, it seems more out of stupidity and confusion than malice, picks up the $2 and his purchases and makes to leave. Come again? So he's going to steal. Is that what he's going to do? My friend and the cashier both object, and yeah, he has to leave the $2 with the cashier. Chris doesn't seem to react. A dude who is behind both of them in line between Chris and the door. As Chris passes him, he taps him to get his attention and says something like, "Hey buddy." Chris makes a get away from me and hand wave gesture without looking at any of the three of them, and fairly loudly says, "It's Miss," and hurries out of the door. Chris continues to his car in a half-run, half-walk, as all three of the people in the store watch confused and amazed. Chris pulls out of the parking spot, but for some reason heads towards the back of the lot, where there is no exit. As Chris gets back to the lot, he stops, backs up a few feet, tries to turn the car around, doesn't make it, backs up again, and finally gets around, essentially making a 5-point turn in a fairly large empty parking lot. Chris drives past the store, again, not looking inside, and finally drives off. Why did nobody think about calling the police? Or at least reprimanding Chris for, just taking somebody's money and, not paying his full amount. One dreads to imagine how his financial incompetence will affect him once Bob is dead. Knowing Chris, and while it is quite tragic, he'll probably continue in his destructive spending patterns until he loses everything he has. And even then, he'll still learn nothing. He'll still put it through the gesture of just getting by. You know what? To quote a famous phrase I've heard on TV a few times, they never should have gave Chris money. It's not quite the full quote, but I think you get the idea.